What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Today we're going to be top working my mulberry tree. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be top working this pretty well grown mulberry behind me. So I'm topping it because I got myself a Pakistan mulberry, big old juicy mulberries, right? They're renowned for being really big and long. Turns out it flowered, you know, my hopes were up, and all the flowers kind of withered away and died after, you know, a couple of days. So in a little more research, I find that I have a male mulberry. And yeah, that's not good for a number of reasons. A, if it got really big, it'd be blowing pollen everywhere. B, I'm not getting fruit, which is why I planted a fruit tree. So what we're gonna do today is top it. I've actually already jumped the gun here, and there are a number of wild mulberries behind my property line. So what I did was I tacked one on here. I did a bark graft, and one of my friends in one of my groups I'm in sent me some female Pakistan mulberry cuttings here. So we're going to top work it a little more today. We're going to take off one of these pretty thick branches, and we're either going to do a wedge graft or a bark graft, depending on what these scions look like. So we're going to check them out. Mail time. All right. So I have yet to open this. The person who sent these to me lives in Houston. They were nice enough to do this for me, but they did say they're not used to working with scions and that the napkin may be a little too moist. We'll see. But one good thing about mulberries is they're very forgiving. You could almost literally stick one of these in the ground and get a tree. So I'm probably actually gonna propagate some of these as well, depending on how many we have here. All right, very nice packaging here. Got a lot going on. Yeah, that's a little moist, but you know what? I think we'll be all right. This almost reminds me of my Christmases where my siblings and I would wrap things really obnoxiously to make it a pain in the butt. Wow, these are a little bit soaked, but hopefully we're in good shape. Get these puppies aired out. They're probably already budding out like crazy. All right. I will say these are nice cuttings. A little bit moist, which I think we'll be okay with. So right now, by the looks of things, I could either do a cleft or a bark graft. What would be smart would be to do one of both, huh? Because I do have some extra branches here. I do want to leave some of this foliage on. I don't want to completely top it off because we're in spring here, the sun's hitting a little bit. These grafts are going to need some shade. Also, I may keep one of the male branches for better pollination. So yeah, I'm going to kind of evaluate things here and see what we should go from. Okay guys, so for the sake of daylight and camera battery, I'm gonna try to move pretty quick here. I have sterilized all my tools here. I have a few scions I'm gonna work with. I think what I'm first going to do is take down this guy, and I think we're gonna do a bark graft on that. One thing I've noticed about these scions, they're great, but the buds are really far apart. And sometimes that's bad with grafting, and it makes me think whether I would want to use one or two in this scenario. Two, of course, has a better success rate. One is less energy. So kind of debate that in my head here, and we'll start diving in. The first step, of course, is going to be taking off the branch here, topping it off so we can work with it. So when you're actually topping a tree, you're gonna wanna cut it at a 45, but since we're grafting onto it, we don't need that much of a slope. One thing you do want to be careful about is not twisting or snapping off and stripping the bark. So we're going to be really careful. If this was a huge tree, I'd probably cut some of the top limbs off first. It's not that heavy, so we're just going to go for it. Nice clean cut. And this will go to my goats. Okay. So I've decided for this one, since I do have a bud already on the mulberry I did the other day, I'm gonna go with the bark graft because it seems to be pretty successful. One of the things I have to do now though is determine which scion and also, if you pay attention to the buds here, you want, since you're topping it and you're doing all this anyway, you kind of want to direct the bud to grow where you want it to grow. So right now I have a bud coming this way and that way. We do want it to kind of branch out. And so I don't want it crisscrossing with this one. So I'm probably going to do it right about in this vicinity. So as far as choosing my bud, I chose this one, my budwood or my scion. I chose this one because these buds haven't broken yet. So that's a great candidate. So to prepare this, we're going to give it a snip above this bud. I'm going to cut right above this one. I might save this for the next one. So I have some grafting tape here. Preparing the scion. I'm not going to need a lot because it's very short. It's only one bud. We're going to start right below that bud, work our way up. Nice contact, locking in all that moisture, especially on the top there. And I'm coming back down and around. And there we go. There's a lot of noise out here today, so excuse me. Dogs, kids. All right, now I'm gonna make that wedge, and it's the same as a cleft graft if you've seen some of my other videos. But right now I have to calculate how I'd like that. So I want this branching out this way. So I'm gonna have my bud facing that way. And I'll make my wedge accordingly. Okay, so here's our wedge. I don't know if it was excess moisture, but we lost a little bit here. It's gonna be fine because we have plenty of that fresh cambium, which is really what's gonna take this off. So I'll bring you guys in a little closer to show you what I'm gonna do to, actually I'll show you right here. So essentially, I'm going to be making a slit in the bark and making an L. And you're going to be able to peel that back. Really should use a sanitary implement, but I'm using my finger for this. You're going to peel that back like so, and you have all that nice cambium. And you're going to slip this in like so and wrap it up. So let's do that over here. All right. So we're going to kind of size this up. We're going to do that bottom slip first, and then we're going to come down with the top. And we're just scoring it a few times. Okay, now we're going to peel it back. Okay, now we're going to slip this guy in. Tie it down below. start coming up, coming all the way up. Do that one more time. Just tie it off. For the top, you can either use a tree paint, or I'm gonna wrap it up in some of this parafilm. All right guys, so our graft is all complete there. I was pretty pressed for time, like I said, between the daylight fading out and my battery going low. I may still do a graft on the other side. I will definitely do an update video on this. But yeah, for a couple of weeks here, at least, I'm going to leave all these other branches on because I have a really nice shade over the grafts right now. And once I get a lot of growth, like really good, strong growth, I'm gonna start slowly pruning this back, one branch at a time, you know, every couple of days or depending on how well it's doing. Because this tree has all this foliage that it needs to photosynthesize and get its energy. Okay guys, so we're back a couple of weeks later, and we have a graft taken here and a graft taken here. Excuse that. So with these first two, if you guys remember the grafts that I got in the mail, well, they were waterlogged, and especially after sealing them on here, and mulberries and ficus trees in general, like figs and stuff, when they're active and out of dormancy and you cut them, they're going to spew a lot of latex sap. And so that, along with the fact that it was already saturated, it was a lost cause. I kind of peeled things back to air it out. This one still might take, this one was done. And so I found some sources, and I found a nice fresh scion down here, which has taken off nicely. The wild mulberry has taken off nicely as well. So another thing I want to bring to your attention, mulberries or figs or anything of that sort, they do leach out. When they're out of dormancy, they leach out a lot of latex. And so I originally had this wrapped up in grafting tape, and that wasn't letting everything weep like it should. So I did take everything off, and I just used fishing line. So you're gonna do the same thing, tie it from the bottom, go up. But this way everything can leach out. You really don't have to worry about it drying because there's so much latex anyway. This top portion here, I did use grafting tape just right here, and especially on the scion. But yeah, seeing that these scions were bad, I really did this a little too late in the season. It should really be when it's coming right out of dormancy. I just was really frustrated with the fact that I had a male tree, so I was trying to redeem that. And so what I'm gonna do is I kind of resealed this one back up, and I'm gonna leave these two on potentially because I'm trying to get my hands on a white mulberry. So if anyone has any scions and you're watching, hit me up. And yeah, so I'm gonna potentially keep these. I've pruned off all the other growth to concentrate more energy into these now that they're taken off. And yeah, it's looking good. If I can't get my hands on white mulberry for a certain amount of time, I may just take it down right here and let these take off. So I've also been knocking off any buds that I see, and yeah. All right guys, so that's gonna wrap it up. Feel free to comment if you have any questions or a different take. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so, because I'm gonna have a lot of videos like this, as I already do. Anyway guys, as always, thank you for tuning in, and until next time.